How many people are here and it's the first time that they've heard OCP or Open Compute? Okay, all right. So I'm assuming half of you have heard about OCP and the other half are going to know exactly what OCP is by the end of today. Okay, all right, so with that, get started. So as I mentioned, my name is Archna. I am based out of California. I've been to lots of parts in India. I was born in Mumbai myself. Looking forward to talking with at least most of you by the end of today. And I'm going to talk a little bit about what OCP is and how the projects work and how our community works globally within our infrastructure. So, who are we? We are a collaborative community. It's a global community. And historically, we were focused on hardware, as Rajiv mentioned. But what you're going to see over the day today, as well as moving forward, is there's a huge focus on software and on management solutions. So we're trying to create a complete ecosystem, an integrated ecosystem, that supports both compute and telecom infrastructure. So historically coming from the data center side, but as the data center starts to migrate to the edge, to the mist, to the fog, to our homes, to our cars, to our own personal devices, that service is now being done through Open Compute. Oops. Okay. So a little bit about Open Compute. We have about 200 corporate global members. They consist of 3 categories, primarily suppliers that supply the hardware, solution providers that take the hardware, the software, and create integrated solutions, and adopters, those that are taking these solutions and incorporating them in their own infrastructure. So you're going to hear a little bit about all of these today. Like I said, about 6,000 participants in our community, engineers, supply chain managers, business development, strategists, executives, manufacturing, lots of facilities providers, colo providers, and now academia. So research institutes and research labs are now coming on board and wanting to add to their portfolio of traditional hardware as well as now open hardware. And then, like I said, member companies from all over the world. This is the first for India, so we're very, very excited. Our foundation has a board, so we are a separate nonprofit foundation based in the US. Our leader is our chairman, who also happens to be a Facebook employee. So what you will notice as I talk about OCP is that it's made up of volunteers. Every single one of these persons has a day job. And then in the spare time, which is sometimes not all so much, it's so valuable, they're also helping OCP out. So anywhere from Goldman Sachs to Intel to Microsoft to folks like Andy Bechtolsheim, you know, the co-founder of Sun Microsystems and now at Arista. They're helping us out and kind of leading us in the right direction, helping us with the real technical roadmap, strategy roadmap, and then our fearless leader, Rocky Bullock. Give you a little bit of idea of what the impact of OCP is. So I don't know if you know the numbers, but we were really, really surprised by these numbers. We did an independent survey through IHS Markit. This was done in 2017 and again repeated in 2018. And what we found out is our impact is $2.5 billion. That's what it was in 2018, and it's forecasted to be close to $11 billion by 2022. What does that mean? It means that our non-board member companies, so the companies that you saw on this chart, are not included in this number. These are all companies outside of our board member companies that are now consuming OCP in some way, shape, or form. What also surprised us is that you'll see Asia is going to surpass EMEA. And Asia is made up of, and we're including mainland China in this, we're including Taiwan in this, we're including, Japan, India. It's gonna grow, and it's growing at a very, very, very fast rate. What we're thinking that is going to be the reason for this growth is really this. Originally, people started adopting OCP because, hey, it was less expensive than traditional, and there was a huge power efficiency savings that they were seeing in the equipment. But now those drivers are going to be flexibility, serviceability, control and management functions. There's more choices in vendors now. If you go to our marketplace, and Steve will go into this, you're gonna see multiple vendors for the same kind of solutions. There's more solutions, and we're trying to address this for integrated software, hardware management. So all of this is now coming together, and this is what's driving that $2.5 billion growth up to $11 billion. Okay. When you think of OCP, it's not just hardware, it's not just software. What it is it's project communities. And we base these project communities on demand from these communities. So what you'll see here is storage, rack and power, servers, things like open domain specific architectures now. You're going to see things like open accelerators, because everybody's using a different type of accelerator, and we're now trying to collaborate and come together and develop an infrastructure that's not only addressing applications, but is interoperable, right? We're looking at security. And that's something that's unique, to find out what the root of trust is for a piece of equipment that starts at the manufacturing facility and then ends up at the adopter's site. You wanna make sure that you can trace it and that it's secure. You're looking at rack level management. You're looking at BMC. You're looking at northbound APIs and southbound APIs. You're looking at cooling. What they're doing in mainland China or in India for cooling is going to be very different than what they're doing in Scandinavia. Cooling means different things to different people. We're looking at telcos from the carriers all the way to the edge. And when we say the edge, it's not the mobile environment, because again, we were born out of the data center. We're talking about the edge as it sits on a mobile data center or as it sits on a modular data center. We're looking at the edge as it starts to look at gateways, campuses, things like that. So it's really, really changing the way that we're looking at compute. High performance computing, PCI NIC cards. And then in the center of all of this is software, whether it's software on the network in the cloud through Sonic and what Facebook is doing, what Microsoft is doing, to where we're looking at Open Network Linux or the Open Network install environment. So it's kind of, you're starting to see these tiles kind of build upon each other and work together. And like I said, a lot of this is happening not just in the US, it's starting to take shape outside of the US. So these regional project communities are now starting to form around the globe. So we started this in, believe it or not, it was started in Japan. It migrated to Taiwan. And I believe Alfred is here. Where's Alfred? Stand up. Alfred is our guy for one of our regional project leads in Taiwan. And he's here because, again, what he does there and what he's seeing there is going to be very important to what you guys might be doing here in India. Thank you, Alfred. We just recently did one in mainland China. Korea is starting at in July. Europe started last year. So it's really interesting. I would love to see an India tile in here soon. I think it's, we're all trying to do this individually, and I think what most of these communities are finding is that OCP is now the collaboration platform. So going back to our project communities, this kind of gives you an idea of all the different projects that are concurrently taking place. Some of these projects are being done in the morning 1 week, and in the evening next week to accommodate the Asia crowd. All of these are done mostly remotely. So when I say a project community is having a call, it's literally a call. It's a remote call that you can join in. All of our calls are recorded, so this session is being recorded. It's put on YouTube, so if it is at 2 o'clock in the morning and you cannot join, you can still get an idea of what the call was about and send a call out, an email out to the mailing list, and it will get answered. Each one of these is run by volunteer leaders. So in the case of, say, hardware management, this group has a IC lead from Intel, Mr. John Leung. It has 2 project co-leads. It's got Hemal Shah from Broadcom and Jageshwar, stand up, from Delta. Jageshwar is our new project co-lead for hardware management, and he's based in Delhi. We have, Open Accelerator Infrastructure. That started as a collaboration between Microsoft and Facebook. Baidu joined in the effort, and now we have 15 different companies between mainland China, between Taiwan, between the US, and Europe that are now getting started on the Open Accelerator Infrastructure. It's really, really cool to see these competitors, these collaborators coming together and taking off their corporate hat, rolling up their sleeves, and really finding common ground to solve challenges. It was something that everybody was working towards, and I'm excited to see where these specs land. Data center facility is another one. So historically, all of these things are in the rack. The server, the storage, the power, the networking, all of this is in the rack. This particular group is focused on the facility itself. They are now putting together specifications on what it takes to make a facility OCP ready. And Steve will be talking about this later on today. And then what a modular data center looks like. Something that sits on the side of the road. Something that maybe sits on a carrier ship, right? They're trying to look at all sorts of environments, how to heat it, how to cool it, how to make it more efficient, how to connect it, and get you data closer so that you avoid the latency of going to the cloud and getting immediate results. We also work very, very closely with partners. And these are just some of the partners. There's the Linux Foundation, there's OpenPower, OpenStack. OpenBMC is a very, very close partner, and Sai is a good example of Facebook, hardware management, OpenBMC, stand up Sai. During the day, he has a job at Facebook. In his spare time, what little spare time you have, he's trying to connect the dots between OpenBMC and OCP. So it's kind of neat to see that. The Telecom Infra project is another project that was born out of Facebook, and now it's really addressing the carriers. So working with all of these partners makes us open, makes the collaboration a lot tighter, and then those that are looking to adopt hardware and software solutions are getting a tested and integrated solution. These are kind of the OCP brands, if you will. So when our project communities get together and collaborate, the outcome of that collaboration results in 3 or 4 things. It results in a specification that they put together, and that specification is available on the Open Compute Project website. You can go to our contribution database and download a spec. It's completely open. In some cases, you'll see an open design package, and what I mean by an open design package is Gerber's, BOM's bill of materials, CAD files, manufacturing test plans, completely open, download them, and you can see anything and everything about a project, about a product that's out there. They also result in products, and you can see some of the products out there. I know MyTech has some products, and Mellanox has some products out here. So That's the end goal, is to not just have a spec and a design package, but to actually have a product that's open, that you can go and use and use in your infrastructure and use in your facility. And then lastly, to have a facility that can accommodate an OCP rack, or an Olympus rack, or an Open 19 rack, or a standard EIA 310 rack with open gear, just like you would traditional hardware out there. So what we do is, anytime a product comes out and it has an open spec, we put an OCP-inspired certification mark on it. And what that means is, we've looked at the spec and we validated that the product has an open spec. OCP accepted means that it's got open specs and an open design package, and an OCP-ready facility has met the requirements and done the assessment so that you can be comfortable that you can, if you happen to have OCP gear, that it can be accommodated in a facility. So as you're out there looking at your RFPs, as you're out there looking at your infrastructure, start looking for these marks out there. We're starting to see them more and more on RFQs and RFPs. Two different databases, if you will. The contribution database, like I mentioned before, has reference designs and specs and facilities in it. And then the OCP GitHub, which Rajiv will talk about more, has all sorts of software and make files and all of our gear that's out there. So what do I want out of OCP India? I want to see this collaboration and this community become successful. So what we've done is we've started a regional project community. It's in an incubation mode. And what that means is, I don't know how much interest there is in OCP. I don't know how much the Indian community today wants to collaborate with the rest of the world. I started a mailing list. If you get a chance, go on the mailing list. If you're interested, join the mailing list. And as we start to do more events like this, you'll be aware of it, you'll be informed of it, and then if you decide to become an OCP member, you can join the rest of the project communities. I would like to, at the end of this session, work with Steve and Rajiv and some of the other sponsors and come up with a survey. Because I want to make sure that we're targeting this audience correctly. I don't want to be talking about hardware management if that's not of interest to you. I want to make sure that the project calls that we invite the OCP India mailing list to makes sense for what you're interested in. There's no need for you to get involved in all the projects if it doesn't apply. So we want to put together a survey and make sure that we're really focused on the things that are important to you. And then if there's enough interest present here, we'll nominate 2 local regional leads. Just like Jageshwar is doing for hardware management, I might pick 2 local representatives here in Bangalore or in Delhi or wherever it makes sense in India, and help us do calls locally, help us sponsor events locally, help us make this community flourish. And then at the end of that, if it makes sense, I want this community to come to our global summit and represent India. A lot of the other communities come and talk about the things that they're doing here, the collaboration that they're doing here, the success stories that they've had here, the challenges that they've faced here, frankly, the case studies that they've had, and come and share it with the rest of the country and the rest of the world, because I think that that's really important, and that's the basis for OCP is collaboration. And then, how do you participate in the rest of the project communities? Well, if you are interested in becoming an OCP member, I'm gonna be here all day. Reach out to me. Find a project that fits your company's interest, that fits your group's interest. Get on a mailing list, join the conversation, and please don't be a silent participant. That doesn't do anything for anybody. If you have something to say, share your expertise. I think the more people that know about what India is doing, the better off we are. There are some great lessons that we can learn from each other, and why reinvent the wheel if it's already been invented, right? Let's build on it. And then, as you start to look at your own infrastructure, start thinking about open products. There's a lot of companies out there, and you'll hear today how they're doing it, but start thinking about using open products in your own infrastructure and talking about it. So how to get a hold of me? My email is also on the website. It's public. Everything about the OCP website, by the way, is public. All of our videos are public. All of our events that have occurred, every single video is available there, along with the slide deck. So the slide deck for this will also be made public, probably early next week. I think it'll take us until Friday to consolidate all of the videos and edit them and get them into a presentable form, and then we'll publish them. You can get a hold of me on LinkedIn, WhatsApp, Facebook, obviously. Reach out. That's what we're here for. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Steve, and Steve can take you a little bit more about, some case studies here